Omar in Herndon, Virginia. Hey, Omar, thanks for watching us. You wanted to talk about the American dream?
Yeah, Tom, this is a great topic, which I was always hoping to bring up. The American dream is prosperity for all, generational prosperities. You know, basically living your life within the law. But I got to tell you, it's very challenging these days because the American dream is under attack by the Mercer family, Alec, the Koch brothers, you know, and all these oligarch billionaires who basically own all these banksters who want to basically just richen themselves, you know, on the back of the American people. And it's really disturbing. Yeah. And we need a leader who is going to able to kind of derail all those aggressive.
Now, Republicans would say all these billionaires are proof that the American dream is alive and well. Look at, you know, Robert Mercer made a fortune.
But it's supposed to benefit all. He made a fortune, but he made a fortune on the back of the American people. Just like Elizabeth Warren said, you know, he made a fortune, but he didn't make it on his own. Along a way, the government, they will program where he benefited, you know, where he benefited from those initiatives. He didn't get there on his own. The government helped him, and people also helped him, you know, and the system that in place to advance individuals helped him. Well, he got rich, and then he forgot about everybody else.
Could be. I don't know Robert Mercer personally or frankly that much about him, but how do you think that most of your friends and colleagues perceive the American dream?
Well, they see this as prosperity, you know, due process. You know, I have family overseas. I'm telling you, if there's a World War III, 99% of the war will be on the U.S. side. Why? Because there's something in here that is not anywhere in the war. And it's been under attack. That's due process, treating everybody fairly, right. You know, regardless of who you are. You know, right. You could be an immigrant, you can be an American, but you have the law. In some countries, if you're not a national, you can't sue any native person. You can sue any company.
Right.
You have to be a citizen to take them to court.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do. Omar, you know, you have friends overseas, family overseas. I think I detect a very faint accent in your voice. So I hope this doesn't insult you. But if you are an immigrant to the United States, how I would think that you'd be in a position to have some unique perspectives on how people who are not U.S. citizens view the American dream. Can you speak to that in the 45 seconds we have left, or am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right, and you never offend me, Tom, no matter what you say.
Thank you, Omar.
You're my spiritual leader, political spiritual leader. But it's basically due process, that equal right. You know, the fact that you know, for example, you're not going to be. Everybody's equal. Everybody has the same rights. You know, for example, you're not going to join a party because you're not going to get benefit because you're a member of a royal family, or you're a member of a Ba'ath party,
or selectively prosecuted.
Party. Exactly, or a member of the Ba'ath party, or anything like that, or a Chinese party. You don't have to join anything to have your rights given to you. You know, all you have to do is live within the law. And people, they aspire to the American dream because they know that if you live right, you work hard, you will get paid for it. You will have a family, you can raise your family, you have good education, you know, you have good life. But it's been under attack. Right. And I just want to end up with this one last thing. Trump want to cut immigration to half. You know, Apple founder, Steve Jobs, his father was Syrian.
And a refugee. He was a Syrian refugee. Yeah, brilliant. Omar, thank you very much. I appreciate the call. Meanwhile, the NRA has a very different view of the American dream. Apparently, their idea of the American dream is sort of like Mussolini's, right? We are the clenched fist that will stop the leftists. These protesters, these hippies, these people of color, these malcontents, these people who are unhappy with the way things are going. We, the weapons manufacturers of America, are the clenched fist. This is, you know, right-wing commentator Dana Loesch with a brand new ad for the NRA. Here it is.
They use their media to assassinate real news. They use their schools to teach children that their president is another Hitler. They use their movie stars and singers and comedy shows and award shows to repeat their narrative over and over again. And then they use their ex-president to endorse the resistance, all to make them march Make them protest. Make them scream racism and sexism and xenophobia and homophobia, to smash windows, burn cars, shut down interstates and airports, bully and terrorize the law-abiding, until the only option left is for the police to do their jobs and stop the madness. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse for their outrage. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our country and our freedom, is to fight this violence of lies with the clenched fist of truth. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
Right. Actually, if you have guns in your home, you're more likely to have accidental deaths in your home. You're more likely to have suicides in your home. Your kids are more likely to die. But, you know, this is the NRA shtick, that the American dream is the clenched fist of truth. And how dare those malcontents protest? That's not the American dream. Pretty amazing stuff. Sue in Morgan, Pennsylvania. Your thoughts on the American dream, Sue? Hey, Sue. You're on the air. No? Okay. You got to listen to your telephone, not your TV or your radio. Anthony in Jackson, Mississippi. Hey, Anthony. Your thoughts on the American dream?
Hey, Tom.
Hey, Anthony.
Okay, I'm glad that you got me on the line, and thank you so much for taking my call. Yes, I have a couple of points about the American dream. I want to start by stating that this is my perspective only. I understand that a lot of people have different perspectives. I'm 23. I was born in Louisiana, raised in Mississippi, so I have a very unique perspective as a young black man, and that perspective ultimately has led me to believe wholeheartedly that the American dream is basically propaganda for the most part, for a number of reasons. First of all, every conversation I've had with anybody or have heard discussed about the American dream has always had an era of meritocracy already embedded into the discussion that has never, ever been realized in this country. So that right off the back is a cue to me that it's probably propaganda for the most part. Mm-hmm. There's never been a meritocracy in this country for, of course, black people. We've always been at the lowest rank of this country. So there's obviously not any meritocracy to it. As far as the American dream being associated with the 60s civil rights movement, I would counter that kind of by saying that I think Dr. King more so was attempting to strangle the white establishment of that time into understanding their hypocrisy. I don't think there was any morality associated with the American dream.
Well, wouldn't it, Anthony, might it not be accurate to say that essentially the message of Dr. King, obviously one of many, but, you know, his social justice, his economic justice, his criminal justice reform calls, all were various ways of saying that people of color should have the same access to the, quote, American dream, end quote, that white people have had for a couple of centuries.
Well, see, that's the issue, Tom. The thing is, this is one country, so there is no American dream if there's not an American dream for everyone. So to say that there was an American dream for just white people, that's not the case, because there was no American dream. There was simply some sort of caste system, honestly, and it's probably still ongoing as far as the numbers go.
Oh, sure.
But back to my point about Dr. King in the 60s, quite frankly, I think it was more so him attempting to stranglehold the establishment at that time into understanding the hypocrisy that they stood deep in, right. Basically by putting a mirror up to them, because obviously there was no morals associated with the American dream, because if there were, there wouldn't be entrenched Jim Crow or segregation to the extent that there was. Right. But I think that's the only thing I think you may be missing about Dr. King movement, is that he didn't necessarily believe these things were actually the reality or were going to be the reality. He wanted them to be the reality. He didn't believe that they existed for anybody, because you can't have a meritocracy for some people and not, it's not a meritocracy.
Right. No, I understand that, but in terms of Dr. King, I mean, his statement was, hang on just a second, I had it just a minute ago. He said that my vision is deeply rooted in the American dream. That was from his 1963 "I Have a Dream" speech.
Certainly.
So, does that change your perspective?
At that point, but I think it was more so, again, to exemplify to the establishment of that time the hypocrisy of them espousing these
Oh, I agree. I think we may be saying the same thing, Anthony.
But they never really actually had it all. But
yeah.
We certainly are in agreement on most of everything as far as that. Another point, just my last one, I know there's probably other people, is that as far as the American dream goes, as far as it being propaganda, another point to that being propaganda is that there is no real tangible, there's no tangible policy that pushes an American dream realistically forward in this country over history or over any short period of time, because it just doesn't exist. There's nothing codified in law that basically outlaws American dream type policy. The Constitution doesn't even do that.
So, therefore, what?
Therefore, it's just propaganda for the most part.
I see. So yeah, I think there's always been an element of sales pitch to it. In fact, Schiller in his article points out in the 1950s, American corporations started using the phrase "the American dream" to sell us everything from new homes to new cars to toasters and refrigerators. And you know, basically, this was the beginning of the commodification of the American dream. So yeah, excellent points all, Anthony. Excellent points all. Thank you for calling and sharing them with us. Sue in Morgan, Pennsylvania. Hey, Sue, what's on your mind?
Hi, Tom. Thank you and your whole crew and your lovely wife. My definition of it is that we acknowledge what we've done to the native tribes and that we acknowledge what we've done to the African Americans, and providing atonement and equality and political power for all of us collectively.
Well, and let's not forget Hispanics and Asians and LGBTQ people and women. I mean, basically, the American dream has been there for white men.
Exactly, and misogynists, and we need to actually do what our country could be great from doing, instead of pretending that lying and conniving and capitalism is so great.
Yeah, very well said. Donald Trump is not the American dream. Donald Trump is the American nightmare. Excellent, Sue. Thank you. Denise in Calumet, Michigan. Hey, Denise, your thoughts?
Well, as a small-town girl, when I was young, the American dream was the ability to live within your means. Mm-hmm. And people who could do that would be happy, not because they had a lot of money, but because they weren't afraid to lose their money. And what's happened is they've taken away the ability of any American, practically, that's not an oligarch or part of the rich Republican base, to not live in fear of losing their health care, their money, not being able to live within their means because they pretty much don't have their means anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And fortunately, I'm old enough to hopefully survive all this because I'm retired now, but I lived through the times when if you lived within your means, you could do well and still be happy, not because of money, because money doesn't make you happy, but stress without money, not having money brings you stress.
Right. No, I remember it too, and I absolutely agree. Denise, very well said. Thank you very much. Russell in Hendersonville, North Carolina. Hey, Russell, what's up?
Hey, Tom. I was watching Michael Moore's movie. Sorry about that.
Quite all right. I can hear you.
Yeah, I was watching Michael Moore's movie, Where Should We Invade Next? And I was struck by the difference between my life here in America and the lives of the people in Europe. I lived in Europe for 4 years when I was younger, and I felt the community, the hope, the love. That's different than here in America. America tends to be a little more grab what you can. And anyway, I thought it was the most interesting part of the whole thing was at the very end where he spoke about all of the different countries that he visited with, healthcare and leave and vacation and just all of it. They all said the basis for all of their, the things they've done in this society were American ideals.
Mm-hmm.
We've lost
from the 40s. American ideals from the 1940s, as espoused by FDR and Harry Truman. That's basically what built Europe.
Exactly, and we need, it sounds trite to say, oh, we need to get that back, but I mean, we need to get that back.
Yeah, I think we need to go back to core values, and I think that if the Democratic Party, I see this sniping war going on right now in the Democratic Party, Howard Dean and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, come on, let's just go back to, forget about Bernie and Hillary and all that other kind of nonsense. Let's go back to core principles. FDR's second Bill of Rights. The Democratic Party could win massively on that.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Because FDR's second Bill of Rights is the American dream. For every American this time, not just white men. We'll be back.